All right, guys, welcome to another episode on the podcast. Have myself, Brian Gold, my co-host Squints, and my good friend, Mr. Vince Ricci from Hubble Studios.
Nice to meet you, Brian.
Nice. Fuck off.
Tell us a little bit about Hubble.
And why you started Hubble.
So Hubble is a full-service photo and film production company. We do everything from provide stages from stage rentals to equipment, lighting, digital, PAs, everything. We're like a concierge for production. So if somebody comes in, they want a very high-level production, whether it's Nike, Jordan, down to FITM students, that need help. They would come to someone like us because we guide along the process, be able to come in and where we could be involved as you need or step out as much as you need. And then under Hubble Studios is Hubble Agency, which then will then run your campaigns, do other things for you, and do that. That's like in a nutshell, It's like why you would want to go stay at a full-service resort in Hawaii as opposed to staying somewhere, renting an Airbnb and knowing your way. That's like the how much do you want of the experience? You know what I mean? If you want the full experience, you stay at the Andaz at Four Seasons, and they provide everything. They'll book your restaurants, they'll do that. That's what we do. Why it started, came out to LA, was trying to go in the military route, go the other route, do something all the way. I was friends with this young group called the Young Astronauts. They were a digital marketing production company, creative agency type of thing. They were doing everything. And then we ended up working together on a few shoots. I just went over there really to hang out because they were friends of mine from Canada. And then they were like, why don't you open a studio? We'll bring everything to you. And I'm like, fuck it. Let's look for a studio space and do it. I liked being on set. It was a lot of fun. And little by little, it kind of just took off. And literally overnight, it went from having just their clients to meeting this one, who brought this one, who Kim was one of our first independent contract shoots, was with Kim with Makeup by Mario, then Ariana Grande with the original group, and then so the Disney shoot, and then one by one, it just all these different people came in, and we did zero marketing, didn't put anything behind it, just word of mouth, and I was there for every single shoot to guide it, to go through it, and I took this real hard charge in New York City approach of being there, saying yes to everything, and then just overnight just became a thing.
But you're still there today for every
single
shoot.
day. Yeah, every single day I'm in the office. I'm next door in the creative office. So, it's funny because I don't really get involved a lot of times because I have like real set etiquette. So I don't want to walk on somebody's set. Like my friends will be there, whether they're like, oh, Mike and Miri's on set with this one, go say hi. I'm like, I don't want to go bother them. You know what I mean? Or this one's on set, go say hi. I'm like, I'm not. But if they need me, within 30 seconds, I could walk to the next building, walk on, say, hey, what's going on? What do you guys need? If there's a problem, I go to make them happy. If there's an issue, I'll go make it happen. Budgeting to equipment to their talent didn't show up.
Yeah.
Just didn't show up.
All the working pieces. That's part of being head of production,
Yeah.
Is being able to step in and put out all the little fires or quell the little situations. But it's cool that you take that hands-off approach now, too, as well, and let them kind of
do
their thing,
It's as much as you need me. It's like raising a kid. Once you get to a certain level, which I'll find out soon.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well,
You're a couple days away from
Yeah. A couple days away.
The biggest fight of your life, my friend.
Yeah. Say, hey, I'm here. I'm watching. There's actually a Japanese hospitality approach to things where we're back far enough where you still feel isolated and alone. We're in the shadows, but we're paying attention. When you need us to step in, we'll step in from a service industry standpoint. And I pride myself on being good at that, and not intruding. Because you could be that guy who like goes around and smiles and shakes everybody's hand, which would probably behoove me more from a branding standpoint if I did that more.
You have a big personality. I could see you, being the centralized magnet in the room of any room you step into.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. You know what I mean? And if when you have a big personality, you have that New Yorker vibe to you, that where you very take charge, and it's I guess sometimes it can make other people kind of back up. So I appreciate that you to let them do their thing as well.
I step back and I'm not like, I do have imposter syndrome a little bit from the way I grew up, that I don't always believe like I've earned that spot. I do it, so that's why I work so hard.
Yeah.
So also too, I'm like, they don't want to see me. They're like, oh, they get extra for you 5 times. I'm like, yeah, that's all right. They're just being nice. You know, I don't have to go over there. You know, and like, or whatever the case would be. And like, Ray will be on set and bring this one in with Dom and this one, or 2 Chainz is here, or that one. Anybody, he just specific people he's brought in. He's like, oh, come back, say hello to them. I'm like, I'm already by the highway. He's like, the highway's 2 blocks away. You can turn around. I'm like, I'm already on the highway. Yeah, I mean, like, it's fine. I don't need to, like, they don't need to, like, I don't need to talk. Like, because, yeah, of course there is that level of people who are way more friendly to go conversate with a celebrity or an influencer or somebody like that. You know what I mean? They'll come on set and do that. But it's like, hey, I'm here if you need me. But I don't like need to come on and like.
It's not an ego thing. It's about
it's
being helpful to production and getting them what they need to you know.
Yeah, what they need. It would probably help the business more if I was more forward facing in the face of things now. You know what I mean? Because like there's a lot of people who know who I am from a production standpoint for Hubble, but there's a lot of people who have no idea that there's even anybody behind it. I don't want to be the face of something, you know, not because if it made more sense for business, I would, you know what I mean? But I don't think that it always is necessary with business. But nowadays in business, I think that people need to believe in a person.
People buy people's stories. Definitely. I feel that. And especially in this content creation world that we live in now, it's like, you know, people are investing into people now, not so much as brands that have no face, you know. People don't know Phil Knight until...
Shoe Dog.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Until somebody told you a story and made them prevalent, you know what I mean? We used to see that people hid in the shadows a little bit, but now it's the kind of the opposite route, right? Like you build a personal brand first, and then off of that, you kind of branch out and do multiple... a Logan Paul, a Jake Paul, these type of characters that come in and have a personal brand and then launch successful businesses off of their own, you know,
their own platform
and platform. Yeah.
People committed to them, and you know, it's funny you bring up Phil Knight. I've been a Nike fan forever.
Me too.
Always wore Nike. That was no real reason why I was tethered to Nike. After reading Shoe Dog, seeing the journey from Blue Ribbon to the beef with Onisuka. His 17-year journey to taking the company public, and his credit card declining the night before he went public, and everything that guy did, he's constantly overstepping adversity and never falling back and just always moving forward. Why the box is orange, the BRS, everything about it. It's like, I love the brand now.
Yeah.
I love it. Like, I truly love it. And it didn't have anything to do with Jordan. And that's what I loved about the book. They left that part out.
Yeah.
Because Nike was not built because of Jordan.
No.
You know what I mean? Even though I love that story separately. You know what I mean? But that was already 3 generations in, you know, to the Jordan era and the saga. And then did you see the Air movie?
No, I haven't seen it yet. I can't wait to see it.
Unbelievable.
I bet, yeah.
Unbelievable.
I mean, I'm a big fan of them producing together and you know, being on screen and stuff, you know.
Yeah.
They're amazing. And I love when they get back to, like, you know, back to their roots, so to speak, and put things together. It's cool. Yeah, I can't wait to see it.
Yeah, it's about Sonny Vancouver, the guy who found Jordan, and the story. And I've listened to him speak on other things too. And it's like, he didn't give up. It was another story than him convincing now Phil Knight, who at this point had a publicly traded company and had to answer to the board, and his interactions about the whole situation. And then also Phil standing behind Sonny and saying, fuck it.
Let's do it.
You want to put it all on one person? It's better pay off. You know what I mean? And
here we are 30 years later, and damn near 30 years, huh?
Yeah.
Is it more? Yeah.
It's 37 years. They launched in 1985.
Years,
Right. Yeah.
And the brand's bigger than ever.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, he built sneaker culture.
He changed.
Actually, commodity in general. I mean, everything moves like resale now. So it's interesting the effect that it's had, you know?
The effect it had with fashion, how you equate, you know.
Because it wasn't
sneaker
cool to wear
culture.
sportswear back then either.
No, definitely wasn't.
Maybe in the inner cities and in hip hop and things of this nature, but like sweatsuits and stuff were big, but it was a different vibe. It wasn't like it is now.
It wasn't
you don't
mainstream.
wear Jordans with the suits and you know, Air Force Ones and these type of things. You just it wasn't appropriate.
I think that there's been a globalization of fashion definitely from Instagram, things like that. And
We all see it real time now.
yeah,
They used to. It's interesting. Damon John was talking about that with Fubu. Is that when he was in Queens and Hollis and he used to run around when LL was on tour, and everybody just wanted the gear that they had back in Queens, like the stuff they were wearing, the Adidas, the suits, the things. So he knew all these cats from the neighborhood, and they would let him come on tour, and he would just duffel bag up a bunch of stuff from the neighborhood and bring it to all these shows, and he'd be selling it. And that's how he kind of got his start before he built the brand or came up with these caps. He had like a little tie cap beanie was his first product, and but that was the thing, is that everybody wanted that culture because you had to see it real time. It didn't travel like it does now. Now we get
get
Instagram,
everything.
we see. So the guys in Nebraska are wearing New Balance when New Balance are hot, or this when this is hot, because they see what the tastemakers are moving on and stuff. It is interesting the way things have changed.
it's funny how he did that. I feel like the modern day guy who's doing that. Sean Neff?
Yeah.
Neff Beanies? You know Sean?
Yeah.
What he did for Neff Beanies to Sunbum to Moon Now and everything else, like he's like a guy like I looked up to. Was like, wow, this guy's doing it. We worked with him through Hubble a lot. And it's funny how you go full circle. I ran into a girl that we shot with, model on set. She was super cool, friendly, and I didn't know what else she did. I seen her in the gym recently, maybe like 6 months ago, and she's like, hey, what's going on? I actually spoke to my friend that runs a bunch of stuff for Sean, and I was asking for a job, and she said, well, Sean's not doing anything new right now. We pretty much all set with people, but who's doing a lot is that guy Vincent Hubble. You should go talk to him. He's like working for Sean. And I was like, wow. I looked up to this guy for so long, and thought like, wow, like I would like to do what he does. He goes in and makes brands better. He can launch brands. He could sell a product, whether it's a hat, toothpaste, suntan lotion, fashion. He knows everything. The guy is, he's in it. He's got his finger on the pulse. He could see creatively through like what we talked about before of like why somebody else will choose that. They don't know why. He knows why you're choosing it. He's now
subliminal branding and tones that take Hermes with the orange.
Exactly. Exactly.
People don't know that story of why they did that.
No, I don't know. Tell me.
It's I think that was the only thing left. I think it had to do with World War II, and like that was the only thing they had access to was that orange box.
Oh yeah.
And they made it synonymous with the brand, and that's kind of what it played off of. I could be wrong with the way I'm wording it, but I just read about it recently actually. So that was kind of happened, but now business moves off of subliminal marketing and branding, and we are not even aware of why we're attracted to red in food or blue in other products and things.
Yeah,
it's cool that people are scientifically breaking it down now to our why these hit our dopamine receptors and why not.
Exactly, and how you associate those things, and also to creating something that's aspirational. Everybody aspires to want to have Hermes to the top level of a Birkin. I mean, it's like the ideal woman thing to carry Birkin. I mean, it's like the epitome of it. And with the coffee company, when I came into the company, their main logo had a coral color, but there was no Pantone behind it. They didn't really have a brand Bible. So I said, I'm going to shift this to the Hermes Orange. It was a 2019 Pantone of the Year, super popular. It's aspirational. Craft coffee is a thing right now. Everybody wants to be a coffee connoisseur at sorts. And let's shift to this. He said, oh, well, these are going to make sense. I said, no, it's two different things. It's fashion and this, but it's aspirational. People see this. It feels rich. It feels worthy of, I won't put this on my shelf. I actually wouldn't mind looking at it. I'll actually leave it out on my counter. It's the same $19 or $16 bag of coffee. But the value you have, the value you have, and you want to fulfill that in somebody. So when you sell them a product, are we fulfilling a need? And in Storybook brand, they talk about that. How do you fulfill a need? Are they surviving? Are they thriving? Is this a survival thing that we're selling to, that they need this, or are they fulfilling this thriving aspect of life that I want to feel happy with buying this, and I put it out there and I drink out of this mug and I feel a little better when I drink out of this mug because it feels rich. You know what I mean? I had this Hermes mug on my counter that someone bought me, put it in. I didn't even know it was an Hermes mug. And finally I looked at it and Roy was like, I didn't know you had Hermes mugs. I said, I don't got any Hermes mugs. He's like, this is a Hermes mug, you maniac. Look at it. It says it on him. I said, where do we get these, Carla? She's like, Tina bought you those for a Christmas gift. I said, wow. I said, I'm only drinking coffee out of Hermes mug going forward. I was like, if you try to make a coffee, I like did it as a joke, you know? And every time I drink that, I look at it, I said, nice fucking mug. Even if I'm by myself, you know? And I understand how that's manufactured, and I still buy into it. You know, I got a 9th Street coffee t-shirt that I bought 10 years ago in New York. It's a great t-shirt, fits me great, look jacked in it. You know, I feel good when I wear it. If I never bought that shirt, 9th Street Coffee, it would have been a coffee shop that I bought, walked away, and forgot about before I even walked away from the stand. But I'm still tethered to that company because I put that shirt on. I've wore that shirt at the Craig's. I've wore that shirt out. I've wore that with a suit jacket. You know what I mean? I've literally wore that shirt so much. It's one of my favorite shirts.
Walking billboard done well.
I'm a walking billboard. If you can convince somebody to buy your merchandise and wear it, they are a die-hard fan of that company for life. The value of that company just skyrockets.
Especially when it's done well. When somebody takes the time to think about it, like you said, because you feel good wearing it.
Yeah.
Because of the cut of the shirt it was, because of who you are. We used to do that at the shop. I ran a dispensary, Green Dragon, here in North Hollywood.
I know exactly what it is.
So we would see that, like, even when I came to the company, they had like 3-4 shirts before that, like old history back in the Prop 215 days. They were just a logo and the name and the thing on the back with the phone number and stuff. But as the brand evolved and got bigger, and you would see people like the originals that would come in these old iterations of our branded shirts, and these guys wore it for years, bro. 5, 6 years, 7 years, 8 years down the road, they're still wearing the same shirt with the name of the shop, with the address, with the phone number. This guy's a walking billboard for 8 years. Not only does that, but he speaks well of it, and they love it. You know what I mean? You can't pay for better marketing than that.
Sure.
What did that shirt cost? It cost $12 to make, probably. And this guy wore it for 8 years on and off. Maybe once a week, maybe twice a week. You don't even know. You know what I mean? Walking around the city.
You can't buy that. It's priceless.
It's priceless.
It's priceless, and that's creating a culture. That's creating a belief. People want to stand behind something. They want to believe in something. It's almost as culturally relevant as a religion. They believe in that as part of who they are as an identity. You know what I mean? I'm just as much of an Italian American. I believe in those things as much as I'm born and raised in the Bronx. So Italian American. These are all little attributes that kind of
make up
amassed into who I am as a person. And then you add in Hubble, and then you add in Trina's kids, and then you add in all these little pieces that add up. And as a consumer too, you know, I'm also a Blue Bottle drinker. I love Blue Bottle coffee. I've been around it since the beginning. The third coffee shop was downtown, and I've been going there since the beginning.
I like their cold brew as well. What about Blue Bottle are you attracted to, or that brought you in?
Really, you want to know the real story, and this is 100% truth.
I first saw it in San Francisco. And I got attracted to it walking in and seeing them pour the drip. This was the first time I had seen that. And it was one of the nicer locations downtown there. And so I was like, I'm a coffee guy, but right away I was like, oh, this is different. This is cool. Let me check it out.
You wanted me to tell you the real reason. I mean, there's a lot of reasons why I love Blue Bottle coffee.
I love their cups. I drink iced coffee, and I love that it's in a paper cup and not a plastic cup. I love the way it feels. It's the only place that I don't use a straw when I drink iced coffee, which is weird. I saw your cup over there. You had it.
Where is it?
Yeah.
It's right here.
There's some thoughtful, there's some thoughtful branding.
Everything behind the branding, but the real reason why I like it was behind how they train the baristas. So there's a lot of things I like about Starbucks, but I don't really shop at Starbucks unless I have to. But Blue Bottle Coffee, the way they train up their baristas, they really care about the service, and they give them the bandwidth to be able to make decisions when it comes to them, and they give them free drink cards that they can give out to certain customers. So it was March 11th, 2020, already a huge Blue Bottle fan. Father just passed away. Go to the hospital, I take his cross off him, go to the funeral home, deal with it, because I just had to bury my mother. So I knew what to do. You know what I mean? I said, all right, this is just boom, 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 I'll get through this. 2 o'clock in the afternoon now, I'm like, all right, there wasn't much to do, you know, and the funeral was on a Thursday. That was a Tuesday, if I'm not mistaken, and I go to Blue Bottle. I'm going to go to the gym. And I said, let me go to Blue Bottle and sit there. Now, it's a winter time in New York. I go to 73rd and Amsterdam Avenue into Blue Bottle. I had a big jacket on, and there's a one corner seat that there's probably the least most appeasing, most you not want to sit in the seat. It's facing the corner. It's by the garbage. People throwing their garbage out. Actually, it's on the side of the cooler. But that day, that's a seat I wanted to sit in. And there was only a seat open, thank God. And I faced the wall, and I just sat there. And it was the first time I had the chance to unwind and really process what's happening. And,
it's a big moment in your life.
Yeah.
Everybody's life, losing a parent.
Oh, it's, and I had just started to process the grief for my mother right before my father got sick. And then boom, he died 5 weeks later. And it's like, I got to deal with this now. And I walked into Blue Bottle, got the coffee, sat down, and someone taps me on the shoulder just as this overwhelming feeling hit me of like, damn, it's over. Like, it's over. And this kid taps me on the shoulder. He was a barista. He said, hey, man, just wanted to give you these. And there was a stack of free drink cards. And didn't tell him what happened. Didn't know what happened. And I looked at him straight up and I said, you have no idea how much this means to me. And I felt like it was God telling me everything's going to be okay. You know what I mean? People care, even though they don't. But the thing is, if I was in Starbucks, and not taken away from Starbucks, I think Starbucks great in other ways, he wouldn't have the ability to do that. They wouldn't have gave that barista the ability to go take care of me the way he did. It took me over a year to go back and tell that kid what he meant to me. And when I went back to tell him, the day I told him was the anniversary of his dad dying.
Wow.
And he came and gave me a hug.
That's synchronicity, bro. That's
and
life.
it said it meant so much to him, me telling him that story. And I said, I think about you all the time. And I came in here a few times trying to tell you, and I couldn't have the balls to say it. And finally I had the thing. I'll think about that guy for the rest of my life, And Blue Bottle, because of that, meant so much to me. And it meant so much to me because I just wanted to go have a cup of coffee and relax. And the fact that they treated me like that and showed me I was a valued customer, I'll be a Blue Bottle fan for the rest of my life. I own another coffee company. I still go to Blue Bottle, and I still, I love the guy, and I've met him before, the owner. And he took a picture of my dog, whatever. But he don't even know that I know.
Yeah.
And how much I believe in that company. But you got a diehard person for life. And I'll tell that story till I'm dead. And that's how much I believe in that company. And if I could do that for somebody else, and then we'll be successful as a company. If I could implement that feeling into somebody else and that goodwill and that belief that it's just
Somebody
a cup of coffee with a paper cup with a little Blue Bottle. And every time I think about it, I think about that day that kid gave me that. It just makes me feel a little more connected and a little better about myself.
Yeah, it goes a long way. Tell us about your coffee company.
It's called Promoter Coffee. There's two influences. Heath, Hussar, and Zane had started it. They're part of the Vlog Squad. And they launched the company, did great. Had huge sales. Kylie Jenner posted like 8 times on a story. All these other people posted. It was huge. They have a strong following. They have a coffee drinking following. They have a podcast called Unfiltered. They do great. Launched it, and then they had relied on their business manager at the time to manage the company. And I think that his intentions were great. I just didn't think he understood.
Yeah.
The ordering process, terms, negotiation, scaling the company. They end up getting,
not just marketing. It's
there's a lot that goes into it. We all know here, and kind of ran the company into some debt. Didn't manage some of the relationships well. Filming shut down. This shut down. They had to shut down the company after 5.5 months. I came in 5 months later, renegotiated, signed personal guarantees for all the debt, took over, rebranded the company, really created a structure, expanded on the product line. Did it. That was 21 months ago. We're doing great. And now you're at the interesting point where just posting about it doesn't get you anywhere. So now it's like, where do we go from here? What's the next step? And it's also an interesting point for me because I'm 37 years old. I feel like I'm just scratching the surface of figuring it out. I share books with this guy all the time and what to read and what to do. And like we talked about, I could either listen to music in the car or listen to an audiobook.
Yeah.
And
we're at that point in our life where it makes more sense to
fuel the brain,
invest in ourselves and empower ourselves a little bit into something more positive.
Exactly. And it's what's next. You
What's
know,
next,
and
yeah.
what's next?
It's funny. I wanted to call this show "What's Next" because we were going to do a business podcast, but that's how my mind thinks. You know that video of Puffy when he hangs up the phone and he just closed some deal and he's sitting there in his office. He's like, "I love you, thank you," and he gets it and he says, "I'm a monster. Anything anybody can't do, I'm gonna do. What's next?" That's
Yeah.
I love that, bro. That energy is like, it fuels me to be like, okay, cool. This is what gets me up every day and makes me keep going forward. Is like, let's go. Let's do something else.
What's next? I had closed on a commercial deal 9 years ago. It was the first big deal I did, like multi-million-dollar real estate deal, and my sister started doing mortgages to help me. But she was a finance director of a company, and she stepped in to help formulate it. We had to put this big business proposal together, all this blah blah blah. Finally closed. As we're on the phone, she's like, "The sign done. It's done. Consider it done. You got it. You're fully approved. Everything." I said, "All right." I said, "What's up with these federal loans? You know, just like, how do all these people get these things to like 3% down or whatever?" I said, "Why don't we try to entertain one of them?" And she goes, "You just fucking closed the deal now." And she called a friend of mine. It goes, "My fucking brother." Doesn't even say thank you. Doesn't say nothing. What's going on with these? How do we buy some houses somewhere else? You know what I mean? Like, I know some way we could do it. You know, might as well take advantage of it now if we can. And he goes, "That's your brother." He, you know, and it comes down to, it's not that I'm not appreciative of what she did or what went on, because if I wouldn't be able to do it without her, you know. But I'm not going to sit here and celebrate what we just closed. The adventure was the fun, the 144-page business proposal.
That's a big proposal.
That's the magic.
Yeah,
bro.
exactly. And
We
that,
talk about that a lot. Find the magic in the process, because
yeah.
the feeling's gone as soon as it's
The
done.
finish you close a deal, it's done, and it is.
You can either be like, "Fuck, I don't know what to do now," or, "Yo, let's go."
Let's keep going. Let's figure out a way to work together. You know, Brian pitched me on this gay on gay adult film company, and I was like, "Nah, it's not really my thing," but that's his thing. You know, not joking. But
This guy.
no, but it really comes down to what's next.
Yeah.
And being a father, and now, I'm about to join the group with you guys about being a dad, and like,
That's the next perspective for you, bro, because that alters
It's going to change your thought
your
process.
reality forever. Because now something outside of yourself is more important than yourself. And
Yeah.
You'll know that the moment that you see him or her. You having a boy or a girl? You know.
Girl.
A girl. Yeah. Even better for a father.
Yeah.
I have 3 girls, 1 boy. But the moment that you realize that, it might not happen instantaneously, but over the first couple of months, you'll see that, like, okay, I have, somebody to be a role model for, somebody to be a caretaker for. You see that now you have a different perception of value. It'll honestly give you perspective into some of your other friends that have kids that maybe, you didn't, it only clicks once you're there, you know what I mean? So it's the biggest blessing that we can ever have, is to understand that there's something outside of us that's more important than us. It gives us our relationship with knowing that, there is a system there,
there's a higher power, there's a way, you know what I mean? And I think that, like,
They teach us so much, bro, by doing so little.
literally,
That's the beauty of it,
Yeah.
And it's good that you're at an age now and comfortable, because I started young, and it's a lot as a young parent to, like, be coming into adulthood and trying to raise a child as well. It's a very challenging situation,
Yeah. I think that, I went through a lot, and there's a lot of different scenarios, and I'm at a point now where it's like, CEO of a company, I have a fiduciary duty to do the right thing. CEO of another company, I have a fiduciary duty to the investors, the people, other people in the company, and I pride myself on doing the right thing, and making good decisions. And now I have ethical and moral obligation as a father to raise a good woman, and like we talked about, these day and age.
Be a role model, because you're her first male.
Yeah.
You're going to set the tone for every male relationship she has going forward.
Oh, she's going to have a hard time. She's going to have a hard time finding somebody else that's going to.
Well, they're going to have a hard time living up to you.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? Which is great.
And it comes down to, like, what we talked about in modern society, of people are so entitled, they don't want to work. It's so hard. So how do we raise good little humans, good little productive humans, and raise a real woman, like you're gonna raise Madison to be a strong woman that,
What?
makes men hold up to those obligations of being men. To do the right thing, open the door, do this, and if they don't get that treatment, they gotta accept that this person is not for them, and not settle.
They deserve more. We
deserve
set that
more.
tone also.
Yeah.
Let's go down the road that you were just touching on real quick of the struggle to find quality employees these days running a business.
Oh,
It's a lot.
Talk about the struggle.
This generation doesn't come from the same values that we have, where I took pride in any position I had, whether I was sweeping floors or extra or a leading role. Like you had to come to work with that, the work harder, work longer, say yes, take pride in whatever it is you're doing. It might not be the end all be all. I can see kids behind a register now at a retail and know like nobody wants to be behind the register at a retail, but that's a step into whatever direction, right?
Yeah.
It's hard. You don't see them taking pride in the position that's in front of them day to day anymore.
No, they can't. They don't know how to work hard. They feel entitled. They feel like, oh, we deserve a break. I had a night manager not that long ago. Well, it was a 12-hour day, and I was giving him time off. I said, this is production. Most production is 12 hours.
That's the start.
He's like, well, we're working equipment. I said, in production equipment. Like, are you serious with that statement? You know what I mean? And you were sleeping. I watched back the cameras. Well, I'm not going to watch these cameras. I said, well, I'm watching them. So what do you mean you're not going to watch them? We're going to review what happened this day. You had 6 people here with you. You were sleeping. You literally fell asleep sitting there. Rafa's sleeping. And I'm like, do you not realize this is crazy? I'm paying overtime at this point, and you guys are sleeping. Multiple people. Well, I was giving him a break to sleep. Like, the guy's 23 years old. He should be able to work like 48-hour shifts if he wants. I mean, not saying that that's what we want, but what the hell happened?
Yeah.
What happened from when we were younger?
What happened
now?
to just starting with an apology?
Saying, my
And
bad.
accepting the fact that, we fucked up.
Yeah.
We fell asleep. We had a long one. Whatever.
Just own it and move on.
I think that in itself is kind of a hard topic, because I feel like the youth looks for an excuse or a cop-out or why that it's okay for them to be acting in a certain direction, and not really just owning the fact that, I fucked up, my bad, next.
Yeah, well, being able to say I'm sorry, and also forgiving people for doing you wrong and things like that is so overrated nowadays. Like, people just don't do it. And my father taught me when I was younger, you got to be able to forgive people because you're going to want to be forgiven in life. So you got to learn how to forgive, and you have to. A real man can say I'm sorry. You know what I mean? If you fuck up, just say you're sorry. It's super simple.
Yeah.
Own it. Like, I didn't expect that to happen.
I don't even have an explanation for you, maybe, but it happened. I did it.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, without making an excuse.
I understand how you feel about it.
Yeah,
because I can put myself in your shoes at this moment and know that that is different too. We used to be able to like rationalize with, power structure and how other people are viewing a situation. It's interesting. How do you find quality people these days?
I feel like I have a very interesting background that we can get into, and it led me to have to discern fast on the spot what is his intentions with this person. So I feel like I do very well at interviewing, but at the same time too, I give a lot of people more opportunity than they should. And I'm learning how to pull back on that and making decisions based on the company and not emotionally, because I'm trying to invest into a person, even though, some people just aren't meant to be that, and letting them go would actually be the better thing for them. But looking at them from the start and doing a good interview process and then training, I don't expect much from people right off the bat, but they got to be invested. They got to be someone invested. And then the training process of saying, if you have a question, call me. I'm an open book. You can call me. Don't waste my time with nonsense questions. And assessing, do they make the same mistake 5 times and realizing they're just not going to prevail? Or if they're making mistakes, just let it be different mistakes. Mm-hmm. I'm not expecting you to know everything right off the bat, but make different mistakes.
I don't mind when people take initiative and make mistakes.
Oh, no,
I love to see that.
Yeah. Try.
Yeah.
At least try.
If I'm giving you direct instructions and you're making mistakes on things I just told you, like checklist,
There's a problem.
it's a problem. But if you're going outside of yourself to try to troubleshoot yourself or do something, then I can adjust with that and be like, well, at least they're taking initiative to try to grow or step outside of themselves.
Or if someone has a problem, my thing was bring me 3 solutions to the problem. I don't want to have to solve your problem every time. And if you keep repeating that over time, usually they start figuring out the shit.
Yeah, and I think that's a great point. Like, problem solve first. What do you think could happen? And then, or I'll give you a solution and figure out my methodology behind it. Start to replicate what would Vince do. How would he handle a situation? I'm partners with a guy, Mark Tung, and he had a conversation with somebody recently. He said, we talked on the plane the whole time. We landed and said, we have a new saying, what would Vince do? Because he doesn't end the day without saying, all right, this is the direction we're going to go, and at least we'll move in a direction. You know, we have to try something. And at the end of the day, we are the owners of the company, so we take full responsibility for what happens. But I have no problem taking responsibility. You know, and if I tell people, yeah, go in this direction, don't worry about it. Just follow my lead. Even if it breaks, the place goes on fire, we'll figure it out. Mm-hmm. You know, we got sprinklers for a reason.
Yeah.
You know, it's the truth. If you're...
But you're headed in a direction.
You're heading in a direction, and you can't stand
be
still.
Stagnant. Yeah.
Yeah, and in today's age and today's economy, and we have no idea where the world's going to go. It is hard. It's getting super hard.
Is it scary building something and knowing that it's been a rough couple of years? So you have a lot going on, and you're very, very involved, and it's very time consuming. Does it ever worry you because you're building something that you don't know? You don't know what's going to come next, right?
I feel like because I've amassed a certain amount of life experiences, the things that used to worry me are different now. Once you start burying people, you realize there's things you can't come back from.
Yeah.
You know, and business decisions, as long as we do things ethically and do integrity, you know, sometimes telling people to go F off or, you know, telling someone they're not fit for their job. It may be mean or harsh at the time, and you may feel bad about it for a minute, but it's not that bad. Mm-hmm. You know,
that was business.
Yeah, that's just business. That's
adults
business.
About things.
Yeah, I'm here to do business, but you know, I'm not taking that much big risk with other people's money. I'm not doing things, so I could pretty much put my head to the pillow and go to sleep at night. And I'm concerned. You know, I've got a winning lottery ticket. Yeah. You know, I've got a trust fund. I'm always concerned. But I love it.
Yeah.
I want to be in the game.
Yeah.
Put me in. I want the ball. I want to play. Let me make the decision, because under pressure, I'd rather take the shot. If we lose, boo for me. I don't care. If we win, let the team take the celebration. But at the end of the day, no matter what, I love the game.
Yeah, me too.
And you got to be built for it. You got to be in it to be built for it. The thrill is in the game.
It's not for everybody. You can't teach hustle, bro.
Yeah, no. You can't teach
tough.
it.
I've tried, and you see, like, you know, you just don't know who's going to be the guy. You know, the guy that ran, it's interesting, the guy that's running Green Dragon now.
What's the guy's name?
His name's Ricci, but he was our security guard, bro.
Wasn't there a guy, Adam, that was in Green Dragon?
Adam?
Yeah. Also.
No, Manny and Ed were the owners.
I think I met Manny.
Yeah, you probably met.
Oh, I know Manny.
You know Manny.
I know Manny actually well.
Yeah. So anyway, but this guy, there was 5 people behind me in line that I would have picked to have my spot after I left before. But the kid that ends up in that position is the kid that just said, yeah, okay, I can do that. You know what I mean? He was literally, we picked him up because there was a trap shop across the street from us, and he would be out there. We'd go to the liquor store, and this fool would be out there sweeping the street, bro. It's Sherman Way in fucking Varna. It's like...
It's going to stay there.
It's the same Green Dragon that I've been to.
Yeah. And it's just... He's just sweeping with a fucking push broom, and we're like, damn, this kid's a winner, dog. He's on it, you know?
Yeah.
So eventually we get the kid to come work for us. The trap shop closes down. He's just a security guard sitting on a stool telling people where to park. Not armed, nothing. He's just a regular guy, you know? But he just says yes to everything. And then, you know, he ends up bud tending, then doing this, learns how to do every position. Now he's managing the joint.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He's like, I would just think, what would Chauncey do in this situation? And I just go do it. You know, he's not necessarily he's not who you would think would end up in that job, but he's just the guy I'm going to do it. That's it. Yeah. You know, it's interesting that you don't know who's going to have it or who's going to elevate in a certain thing. And you know, people rise to the occasion.
And you know what's funny? I had a kid, same situation. He was living in Colombia with his father, and his sister worked for me. He came in. I just put him in the stock room because the kid was 6'4", doofy, would stare at me. kind of freaked me out a little bit. And I was like, put him in the fucking stock room and get him away from me because I can't take this kid. But he knew where everything was. I called, where's the white ribbon for the Balance logo on it? It's in this third thing down. And he knew where everything was. I said, well, I took a lot of pride in it. Slowly moved him up, slowly moved up. 3.5 years later, now he's doing his own thing. Still talk to him every day. And I told him, you want to be a boss? Because he asked me, he said, I feel like when I was trying to be a boss for a little bit, you kind of didn't want to keep pushing me forward. I said, well, the things that you were messing up on at this point, this higher level being attached to me, was detrimental to me. I said, and I had to kind of pull it back from you a little bit. You're going to have a certain acceleration of velocity, and it might slow down. And if I'm giving you more stuff that exceeded the speed you were going at, you couldn't handle it, you got to pull back, and I had to pull back. So I sent him on his way to do his own thing, and mutual decision. And I'm still here for the guy. I talk to him all the time. He's like my fucking son/little brother. But he's learning now. You got to make decisions on your own. He's running his own little grow. He's doing his own thing. But being a boss is not for everybody.
No, it's not.
No.
It's really not for everybody.
No.
We all know that. It is a 24/7 thing.
It's a very small percentage of people that can do it.
Yeah, I had a deal I made recently with a designer that asked me for help with something and sent me a 1.5-minute voice note. Well, a minute and then a half, 30 seconds, doesn't matter. And I read it. I didn't listen to it because I wasn't ready to listen to it. And 3 hours later, I listened to it and I just wrote back, LOL, I got you. I'll take care of it. And then she snapped that and sent it to somebody and said, that's a real boss. He's a real boss. She told me about it after because I needed her to help me with something. So I said, oh, well, we'll just work out a deal. I'll do that for you. You do that for me. So cool. And she said, that's a man. That's a boss. He just simply said that. And I said, she goes, actually, I got nervous when you didn't respond. And I said, no, I didn't listen to the note because I didn't have time to listen to it. And then when I listened to it, I just said, sure, I'll handle you. It's producing something for me. But for me, this is what I do every day. I can do it. Yeah. And then you're loyal to me. Mm-hmm. And then now you are allies. But we will be allies going forward. And if I try to do something with you, I need your service. And you're like, oh, well, here's a bill for $14,000. I'm like, well, don't ever fucking ask me for something again.
It's interesting. That happens.
Yeah, but I said that. She said I would never do that. So
I do things out of the kindness of my heart most of the time.
Yeah.
I give too much, but that's just how I get down. I like to just share information. I'm not scheming on why or what or whatever,
And you know what it is? You could share that information, but it doesn't mean they could do it as good as you can.
No.
Just because you tell them how to do it don't mean they're going to get there. You could tell someone the same route in the Baja. They're not going to drive it as well as you.
No.
I
got a different question for you.
What
made you want to do all this charity work?
It's actually funny. A guy about 20-something years ago, I was about 15, he actually just came home. He did more than 10 years in jail. This guy, Vinny, somebody I looked up to for a long time. One tough motherfucker. And we were in the city, and he gave someone money outside the Papaya King, the fucking hot dog joint. And he said, you in the Bible, you're obligated to give to the less fortunate. And he said, you're supposed to when people ask you. And it's just part of giving back. And as much as he was one violent lunatic, when it came to bad people, he was really good to good people. And we had just spoke to him before. We're both having daughters. And I just took that and ran with it. And that was how I started it. And I started giving back to different charities and doing things. And then I hooked up with Dan. We started Trina's Kids. And Trina's Kids Foundation is solely based around giving back to the less fortunate, but the real goal is to give back people affected by drug abuse. Now, it's such a broad thing, drug abuse. So many people in less fortunate areas are in one way or another affected by drug abuse, whether it's a mother and aunt or what put them in that position, why 4 kids live in their aunt's house and why they live with their grandmother because the mother is addicted to this and that. But they're going to see it. They're going to see it more than the privileged areas. They don't understand the addiction and the disease, the insecurity that it makes you feel, why I'm 37 years old, I got all this going on, I still have imposter syndrome, I still feel like a second-class citizen. I still feel like people look at me like I'm a piece of shit from the Bronx, you know what I mean? Even though Brian looks at me like that. But it comes down to Christmas, Thanksgiving, these days will never feel the same. So I'd rather go spend it with other people. I'd rather give back to other people.
It's not even those days, though. Like watching you do the back-to-school program for all these kids. Because everybody remembers stuff around the holidays, but you also do stuff year-round.
Yeah, well, the back to school this is a hard time for mothers. And I do believe that single mothers in this country should deserve everything we give back to.
Yeah.
If you're a working aged adult man that can go into the military, you don't deserve shit.
No.
Straight up and down. Figure
Yeah.
it the fuck out. You know what I mean? Not deserve shit, but if you have mental health or whatever, there's other things. But
There's some pre-existing conditions that can make that a rough route for you. But
Yeah,
for the
so I
most
don't wanna
part,
be
if you're
like-
able-bodied and sound
Yeah.
of mind, then
You
then
could
should
go
be
work
able
in a
to go
lumber
work
yard.
and figure the shit out, bro.
you could work in a lumber yard. You
yeah,
could
there's stuff you can do.
carry sheetrock. You could do anything. You know, I've done all those jobs. But for single mothers that really struggle and then trying to do the job, I fucking give my heart out to them. They're true warriors, you know. And these mothers, when it's time to go back to school, they got kids coming with new shoes, kids coming with fresh haircuts, whatever kids be, school books, this and that. Just giving a kid a haircut, pair of shoes, backpack full of school supplies that they don't need to buy shows them that somebody else cares, and it gets them excited about their first day of school. And it gets them, that means that they're going to be excited about their education, and they're going to look forward to the first day of school as before that as a party. You know, food, cotton candy, the haircuts, it's fun. Everything that goes into that day is about the excitement to learn
That's awesome.
and go back. And I'll do this for the rest of my life.
It's amazing.
Yeah, it's what I care
Something
about.
that's so it's so simple but so important and powerful. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
and it really does make an impact because we associate with that reward, that system of like, oh, this starts this day off and this year off in a great fashion.
Yeah, and
Amazing.
you know how we've all had our ups and downs.
Of course, bro.
Especially doing business and just in life, in the struggle.
Yeah. No, I come from simple, humble beginnings, so I get
Yeah.
it.
And those down days, it's like one little day up, one little day up. It's like when you help somebody try to lose weight or help somebody try to get in shape. It's starting today.
A win's a
Just
win.
worry about today.
Yeah.
You know, and you only have power over today. You know,
That's
and
it.
if we give them a good day today, you know, we can't predict what tomorrow's going to bring, but at least they're happy today.
You said, you know,
Yeah.
put the wheel in motion.
Exactly.
And like our good friend Dan always says, anyone successful should be doing charity work.
Exactly. You have an obligation to give back to the less fortunate, and I truly believe in that. And I do it in the community where Hubble's at.
Good. And find a way that it is really helping the person that needs the help too, you know?
Yeah.
And, you know, charity is a very broad term, but in the way that you're presenting it is a great and needed thing, you know?
Yeah, it's not taking money and writing it off for this, doing that. 100% of whatever we get gives back, and I cover the rest. You know, it's
Yeah.
definitely not for a tax thing or anything like that.
No, it's to genuinely give
Yeah,
these kids a great
it makes me
outlet.
happy.
Yeah.
You know,
And it
it's selfish for me because it makes me happy.
yeah.
You know, so it's the most selfish thing I could do, honestly, because I genuinely enjoy. As much as I go crazy, I'm pissed off during a setup, I'm nervous, I got this, I'm yelling at volunteers, I've
when you
cursed
see 'em-
at 4
When
people.
you see the kids though,
But
how do you feel?
that line wraps the block.
Oh yeah, they come from everywhere. I see the kids, I yell at them, I chase after them. No, I'm joking about that, but I yell at some of them because they're nuts. Then they come screaming my name, and they all want to do the ice bucket challenge. It's been done for 5 years. They still want to do it.
Awesome.
So you
It's
got to bring it back.
annoying. Yeah, they all think they're getting $50 to do anything. You know what I mean? And I'm like, it's. But these are kids in a neighborhood that I know.
Yeah.
But for the rest of their life, they'll know this guy who didn't look like us, who wasn't Mexican American or wasn't whatever we are, gave a shit
Yeah.
and he cared.
And he didn't have to, but
He didn't
did.
have to, and it shows that, you know, it's not race. It's not. There's different distinctions between different things, and it's not. There's different. You cross some boundaries every different way. You know what I mean? You're showing people that it's a human to human thing.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with race. You know what I mean? It has nothing to do. There's a lot of things that have to do with race, but this one doesn't.
No.
You could help anybody, and you could also look to anybody for help. And just because somebody doesn't look like you doesn't mean you shouldn't look to them for help, because they are human.
Yeah.
And that's what I want to teach my daughter and all the kids that come through Trina's Kids and go through it. Like, hey, like anybody will help. There are all different types of people show up here to give back, and it's just the interaction with that person, and you give them a little piece of your heart. They carry that for a long time, and they know, like that kid with the blue bottle thing.
Well, I think that same scenario of the blue bottle thing is the same thing you're doing for everyone else.
Yeah, I never even thought about. I never heard it said back to me, but
You
yeah,
don't know how you affected them,
Yeah.
but you know you did.
Yeah,
But you've never like really had that conversation with any of them,
no,
and they've never said it, but you've done it, Vince.
yeah.
Nothing needs to be said.
I guess accepting. I don't like to accept those type of things in the sense that like, all right, like it's all right, like it's okay. I just like, it's not like there's people who want to stand on stage and do this and do that, and it's like that's great for them. I feel like almost beneath myself. Tom Ford gives a speech one time. He said he went to a Jay-Z concert at the Barclays Center, and then the song Tom Ford came out, and his name was across the screen. He said, I wanted to crawl into my seat and die, but it was like the biggest moment of my life. Like, wow, it is that big.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like a cultural thing, but he couldn't accept it.
No,
You know
I
what
get
I
it.
mean? And I really understand. This is a guy from Albuquerque, New Mexico.
Yeah.
He grew up in Texas. He became the biggest fashion designer in the world.
Yeah. It's not, people from his walk of life don't have that life path.
No, and I don't
He
think
ran Gucci and Saint Laurent at the same time.
crazy.
Unheard of, bro.
That's
Yeah.
wild. I didn't know that.
I mean, he built both of those brands into what they are today, basically.
And literally after the first Saint Laurent runway show, Yves Saint Laurent told him, "You ruined. It took me 30 years to build my company. You ruined it in 15 minutes." You know what I mean? So this guy's been getting knocked down.
But us in America know what Saint Laurent is in certain walks of life, and is a popular household name because of the direction that
he
Tom
took.
Ford, that a Yankee, not only a Yankee, but a dude from Texas or New Mexico, took the, you know what I mean?
Came in and changed
It's like
the game.
sacrilege to a French designer, a French Italian designer. It's like, are you kidding me?
And you know what's funny? There's so many. Everybody looks at this like, this is this culture. This is just fashion. No, there's so much that go into it.
Yeah.
Like Coco Chanel, Gabrielle Chanel. I love Chanel because of her story, if you know about it. And every piece, everything that she did was attributed to a portion of her life, and from the orphanage to this and that. I mean, she nicknamed herself Coco and told people that that was the name her father gave her as a sign of endearment, even though she didn't have a father. She grew up in the orphanage.
Wow.
She lied to people.
I didn't know that.
And she kept that name forever till I think she died in the late 70s, early 80s, and ended up worked until her death and was truly in love with what she did. And it's like she built this timeless brand that women.
It gains value.
Yeah, this is a girl from an orphanage.
Vintage piece.
Yeah,
All the Chanel stuff, like,
her first husband died in a car accident. You know what I mean? Her first love of her life died at 20-something in a car accident. Definitely didn't have the easiest life. People could interpret that different ways, but definitely had a lot of heartbreak. And women aspire to wear a Chanel bag, to feel they're at the pinnacle of being a woman, to wear her name, and she's from an orphanage.
They don't even know.
And they don't even know. You know what I mean? And that's
What it took to get there to be that.
yeah, and that should tell a story to all the kids in foster care, all the kids in orphanages, all the kids from poverty today. Like, if you just shut the fuck up, don't victimize yourself, and work, it doesn't
You
matter
actually
what
have
you
an
went
upper
through.
hand.
You're gonna outwork everybody.
it's just like what Joey told us last week. Joey Carson.
What do you say?
He's like, keep putting your hand up saying, yes, I'll do it.
Yeah,
And you'll become successful.
exactly. It's that
like-
simple.
Just
Life
like,
has greater plans for us than we can imagine.
Yeah, it really
Saying
does.
yes and showing up is half of it,
Yeah.
And then having an open heart and a strong work ethic can take you the rest of the way,
All the way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful thing. And it's cool to like empower people that come from troubled beginnings to know that it's interesting that a lot of people think that, success comes from money or old money. And most of the time, I think there's a statistic out there, I'm not sure exactly what it is, but the majority of fortunes are built first generation, and that people don't understand that money doesn't really travel generations well, and that a lot of these upper high class brands actually have super humble beginnings and just ended up being something different because of one person's vision and journey.
Yeah. And it's do you know
And
who
it should be empowering to everybody to know that it it's doable.
Yeah, it's Ralph Lauren's from the Bronx.
Yeah.
Calvin Klein's from the Bronx. The other, what's his name? I'll think of his name. But did you know who the producer is? Jerry Weintraub.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know who Jerry Weintraub is? He produced Ocean 11. He took Elvis on a national tour. He took Sinatra on his first national tour. This guy did everything. Incredible. From the Bronx. And he said in his book, unless you're from Brooklyn or Bronx or some area, it's very hard for me to trust you. Not from New York, but from an underprivileged area, I don't really think you're going to work. And this guy did everything, never gave up. He called the colonel for 4 months to try to get Elvis to go on tour. And the Colonel finally told him, stop calling me. He goes, I owe out a lot of favors and you ain't one of them. And there's a long list of people I need to take care of besides this fucking nobody from the Bronx. And finally convinced him, let me take Elvis on tour. He said, show up with a check in Vegas. You got 24 hours to get here with a check for $1 million. This was in Elvis's time.
Yeah.
And he pulled it off. Called everybody, begged, borrow, and steal, got someone to invest, showed up, and he said, I can't believe you were able to pull it off. He goes, I was just kidding. But let's do it.
Yeah.
And he convinced him to let him take Elvis on tour. And it's a great story. You know what I mean? A lot of these stories, like, you don't really know where these people come from. You know, this is a guy who sat, you know, the president fell asleep on his couch. You know, he became friends with everybody, and he was from the streets in New York, you know, grew up broke. Well, a lot of these people grew up like that. And Ray Dalio punched his first boss in the face in finance and got fired and thought that his life was over in finance, and then opened Bridgewater, which was one of the biggest hedge funds in the world. Wrote one of the best business books of all time, Principles. You know, and it's, if people believe that they can't do it, they won't do it, because that's what they believe. You know, but it doesn't matter where you're from. You should look at it as an upper hand to say, my grit will actually get me noticed.
100%. It's an advantage.
Yeah,
It's an advantage people don't know. It's hard. I've seen in personal relationships that coming from a position of having a safety net tends to be troubling for people, bro, because it makes them not have the drive to just get out and get it, you know? I didn't have a choice. Like, I've been on my own since I was 15, 16 years old. Before, my mom's job was taking my ass around on auditions and whatever little work she was doing in between while she was raising other kids, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I was the job, I was working, so I had no choice but to just figure it the fuck out, bro. Nobody was gonna be there to do it for me. And I've obviously had plenty of helping hands, but it's all been because I was able to just keep going, bro. Work through it, find an edge, find an angle, be optimistic about it, and keep grinding, you know?
What do you think it was like growing up with that stardom from a young age?
You know, it's interesting because with the success I had, and I worked a ton, bro, and I was around a lot of cool people, it was before the social media era. So I still had a pretty, you know, regular childhood outside of the working and being on set and not having a, like, yo, I want to go hang out with my friends after school. Like, nah, you got to be at Fox over here, and then to a commercial audition, and then over here changing in the car, you know what I mean? Driving around LA. I'm probably making bottles for my little brother, fucking giving him a bottle in the back seat. So it was all work. But the one thing I do take with it is that it was an interesting time in the industry because I grew up on set. And I didn't have a traditional education of going to school, but I had the education of being around very successful, very hyper talented people in all different walks of life, from grips to cameramen to producers to finance guys to directors. And because I was working with them, I got to stand even as a child with great men and women, and they treated me not like a child, like shut up kid, or, you know, they treat you like they answer your questions or give you the time of day. So I had a different type of education in that way. And I think it served me well from that point.
I feel like something like that could either entitle somebody or
It could go either way.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know.
It definitely humbled me. I understood where I come from. I was born in a little small town outside of Pittsburgh. My dad's a carpenter, master carpenter. He ended up in Dallas. For work, we came down and met him there. That's where I started acting. So I come from humble beginnings. Guys that are from fucking New Brighton don't leave New Brighton where we're from. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're all still back there. Nobody left. They're, you know, they get drunk. They get in bar fights. They hang out. They go to work. They clock in. They go home. They have kids. You know, they go to church. Whatever. It's a pretty simple life. Nobody ends up in LA being an actor or being in a cannabis business or, you know, doing things like this. It doesn't really happen. So I understand that my life took a sharp turn, but, you know, half of it was just showing up and being there and having that, you know, chance happened, and we were there to take it and see what could come from it.
You know, it's just like the Bronx. We talked about Bronx style before. in the beginning of the movie, I don't remember the opening scene, he said, you know, you can get to any borough within 15 minutes of here, but they might as well be 3,000 miles away.
Nobody goes.
You don't leave.
No.
You know, you stay in the Bronx. All you care about is that. You care about being a superstar in the neighborhood and looking up to Jordan and Kobe. That was real. But what was real was looking up to gangsters, looking up to street guys, looking up to guys who got respect, who walk tall. And I mean, the guy could be 5'6", but he might as well be 10 feet tall.
Giant, bro. Yeah.
You know, and that movie, as a movie that, if a barometer of truth was how you judge the, I guess, validity of a movie, it was 10 out of 10 on point with how you grew up. That methodology, that thinking, nothing else really matters. You know, his scene in the car when he gets picked up to go do the thing with the Molotov cocktails, and he had to act like he doesn't give a fuck. That's exactly the way you feel. It's exactly what you think. You've been in that car. You've done. If you're in the street and you're a pretty cool guy, you've been around people, and it's almost insane the things that you're okay around and the things that what you go to do. It's like, I think back now, like, I couldn't imagine a kid doing the things I did at the age I did it.
Yeah.
You know, it's almost insane. And those stories, like when he says when all the kids die at the end, it's just another Bronx tale. Like, they just told a story about the guy before. He just came home. He just did more than 10 years. You know what I mean? And it was bullshit that he went to jail for. He just got cracked. You know what I mean? And it was like, was not a bad guy at all. You know, if you cross him, yeah, but he's a good dude. His mother's the best person in the world. You know what I mean? Literally. Like, his dad's great. And it just, that's the circumstance. You know, but nobody gives a fuck.
No.
They don't care. And that's life.
One more story.
Yeah, that's one more story that you're talking about. And for 10 years, might as well have been 100 for him. It's just a saying for somebody else.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And all these kids going through it, they're not all going to make it out. They're not all going to be successful. But if you don't fucking try, you ain't never got a chance. You know, it doesn't mean, at least you could get further than you are now if you try. No matter what, you're going to make a step forward. It's like if you go to the gym tonight, doesn't matter. You may not be jacked tomorrow. You may be a little better off. You know what I mean? And if you go every day for 6 months, you'll be a little better than you were
6 months ago.
Yeah. And no matter what you do, you're going to be in a little better position.
You got to move forward.
Yeah. And spotting that ambition is how you hire new people. It's how you choose, this is going to be in your life. This is who I'm going to invest time into. And those little things from a business perspective are like, it's fucking hard. It really is. But you got to understand personality. You're a therapist. You're a mental health clinic fucking professional. You're all these things other than business. I told this girl, asked me a question at work one time, something about her boyfriend, and it was such a wild question. I just looked at her, I said, I'm not qualified to answer these questions. And this was about 8 years ago, and I would have had a different answer today. And she said, what does that mean? I said, because I live in fucking reality. I said, I'm going to drive to get coffee. I said, but I think that you may get on a broom and fly there. And that was my answer then, because it was so ridiculous to me that I was trying to convey to her how ridiculous I thought it sounded. And she started to cry. And that wasn't my intention. But
it happens.
But it happened. I said, listen, you got to accept reality.
This is why your HR team said you're not allowed to talk to employees.
Yeah, which it's funny now. My HR loves me, but because I've really changed a lot who I am. But you don't realize sometimes you may discourage somebody. You may mean to empower them, and the intention's there, but you end up fucking discouraging them. When someone like us, all of us have been through it. You know what I mean? And I like hearing the bad stuff. I like getting told. Like Jay-Z, I posted something Jay-Z said a while ago. He's like, I want to be held accountable. I want you to tell me what I'm doing wrong. Yeah. Like, if you're not holding me accountable, what the fuck I need you around me for?
No growth, bro. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't need a yes man around me. I want people to be like, oh, that was a little ridiculous.
Yeah. Or was a little off, or
shouldn't have said that.
Pocket.
Yeah.
I need that.
Yeah.
Keep me in check, bro.
Yeah. But not everybody wants the journey.
No.
Not everybody wants to race the Baja 1000. People want to run in the desert. They want to go play around in the dirt. But do they really want to race it?
No, it's a commitment.
Yeah.
You got to piss in a tube.
Yeah.
Yeah, or piss.
Crash in the dark.
Ooh, that sucked.
Yeah, I mean, it's life. It's real. That's the real deal, you know?
And your life's on the line.
Yeah.
Yeah, are you willing to, when you told me the story, you rolling off the cliff, I said, wow. I thought this guy was soft as baby shit. No. I said, wow, I knew you were a badass dude. And when you started to tell me the stories, I said, man, like, he did a lot. He did a lot of things to the extreme level and had a certain level of respect and didn't pretend to do it. You know what I mean? It wasn't somebody who pretended to do it.
No, that's not pretending.
Yeah.
That's not the race that you pretend on.
Yeah.
That's life or death, bro. You're out in the middle of nowhere in Mexico.
Unfortunately, my first year racing in Mexico, I saw 2 guys die my first weekend out there.
Yeah.
And definitely eye-opening experience.
I mean, you're there. That could have been you.
Yeah, it was 117 degrees outside. 2 guys died of heat stroke on motorcycles.
Jesus.
Oh, just dropped dead?
Just dropped dead.
Damn.
Just think, at least I have a roof like blocking it. Like there's air coming in, so I'm a little cooler. But on a motorcycle, bro, it's just caking you the whole time.
Damn.
Yeah, it's wild.
And it's funny, those, but if you've seen Ford versus Ferrari?
Yep,
I haven't seen it yet. No, I'm gonna watch it. Yeah.
I did.
It's a great movie, and it's actually funny. I watched it when I was at like a kind of depressing point in my life, like it was after my father passed. I watched it laying on the floor in my closet, just being transparent about where I watched it on my computer. You know what I mean? And I was like, it talks about pushing to the limit all the time. And who could survive at that 7,000 RPMs all the time, and having a balance with the car, and that was real races. And you may be considered crazy everywhere else, and you may be a complete outcast. But when it comes to being pushed to the limit, when it comes to doing exceptional shit, you're the one who's going to shine. And accepting that I may walk through the grocery store like a ghost, that no one else in here understands me and knows what I'm going through or what it is, but when it's time to race, I show up. I'm the guy you want in a car. You know what I mean? And that's the business guy. That's the business guy or girl. That's the leader. That's the person who's going to push it. That's the person who's going to continue to keep moving forward. And that's the person you're going to look for. Because if you invest into them, even if they do something great that you may not make any financial gain off of later on in life, you could sit back and say, at least I played a part in that.
That's it.
I was part of that journey. Yeah. I was with them for 10 miles out of that ride.
Yeah.
You know, that was my co-pilot for 10 miles.
That story's priceless. The memory of it is, you know, you can't put a value on that.
Yeah. And it's, listen, you could have 100 dinners at Craig's, red carpets, this, that, all these things, cool clothes, whatever. But it is the story. It is a journey. And it's like winning the lotto. Winning the lotto's whack. I mean, it would be fucking great if it happened to all of us. You know what I mean? I would love to win the lotto. We'll flip it.
Of course.
And take that money.
But we have the business mentality. The average person that wins, I think there's some crazy statistic, like over 90% of them end up beyond broke after.
Yeah, it's definitely, there's all those documentaries about it being a curse, actually, of like it just spiraling people's lives out of control.
I wish that was the curse I got, not the other terrible childhood curse. But I'd take that curse tomorrow.
Yeah. It's the adventure is the part, though, you know. I try to stay focused on that and know that, you know, during the struggle and the turmoil and the market up and down and this and that, to know that being able to survive and know that you can be nimble and lean and that I'm still going to go to work every day and do shit myself is what drives me forward, to see that the successes are warranted, you know. And it's cool to have people not know about you and to find things out about Brian's story or some project I did before or a company that I'm familiar with that you helped build. You know what I mean? It's like, it's cool to know that there's a story to tell about an adventure that somebody took that ended in a certain way. It's awesome.
Yeah, it's just like Shoe Dog, like why they named it Nike. Mm-hmm. That last minute knee-jerk reaction to just fucking name it Nike. I mean, we have to make a label because these guys in Mexico are calling us, wanting to know, what are we printing? What are we printing, you know? And it's like, to know that everyone's wearing that on their chest.
That's it.
That at some point, every one of us.
That moment was more powerful than all the thought that went up to it, you know?
Yeah, all that magic that sprinkled around that moment, then went out into the world and eventually sprinkled over to everybody in the world. At some point, probably has some Nike product on there.
Oh, yeah. See, it's been counterfeited, knocked off, this or that.
I probably got 30 pairs of Nikes sitting at home.
I mean, I don't even wear Nikes too much anymore, and I still
got them.
And I still have them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's still been a big part of my life. I had every Jordan in every colorway from like 4 on originally, and then you know, back catalog and done it again. And then left them and got back into them at some point, you know?
Yeah.
The Air Maxes, the Air Force Ones, the Cortez, a million different silhouettes that have changed fashion culture, moved things forward.
Moved everything.
Mm-hmm.
And this quirky guy that wears big cowboy hats and like strange dude was the one who did it all, you know? And his story was great. You know, and he went through his struggles. His son lost his son. A lot of other things that happened, you know what I mean? And a lot of struggles. But that is reality. You can't buy your way out of the struggles of life. It is going to hit you. And for some kids, it's less fortunate that it happens at such a young age.
Yeah.
And they have to go through it before they're developed. You know what I mean? But later on in life, they're almost more fortunate because they already know what a hard time is.
Yeah.
And they're not going to cry about it or deal with it. It's like, I say it all the time. I said, I've buried my family. I've become from nothing. Trust me, I got nothing to lose. I'm all right. I'll sign a personal guarantee for all this. What the fuck else is going to happen in my life? You know what I mean? Why not? Because I'm going to bet on me. I ride with me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I ride with the people who ride with me. And if more people had that mentality, it would be a lot more competitive. You know, if you only got to run a 7-minute mile to win a race, you're never going to really run much faster. But if every single time you're competing with people who are faster and faster and more people show up to beat you, then it forces you to level up. And you may only ever get to a 6:05 mile or a sub-6 mile, but at least you know what your limit was. You may not always be a winner, but you knew you went all the way. You pushed it all the way. And for the moment, it may sting that somebody else beat you, but later on in life, you'll accept, well, at least I went to my limit. This was the max I was able to do, and I went there. You know, and people don't think like that, I think, nowadays. Well, most people.
Yeah. There's still a few left, but for the most part, you're right. It's a different time.
Yeah.
It's we're in a weird climate, and the social thing is a little bit different now, you know?
Yeah.
I think that we need to incentivize winners and competers and you know, put that competition back on the map, you know?
Yeah, it
It
is.
drives the industry anyway. It's getting stale, and it's because there's nobody trying to do something different, you know?
Yeah, we're striving for mediocrity now. Everybody gets a trophy. Everybody gets this. And,
Participation award.
yeah, I was at a Golden Gloves event about 6 years ago in New York. My friend of mine was fighting in it. And my other friend just had a son. And I was like, yo, you gonna put him in boxing? He's like, oh, bro, it's like a little rough. I was like, what? I was like, not the fighting. He's like, yo, you get a lot of disappointment. Like, you have to accept losing. I said, that's life, homie. That's life.
Figure it out fast there.
He's gonna go in there before he's even fully developed, knowing I have to win. I'm striving to win. There's a winner and there's a loser coming out of that ring. And it's not second place, it's not third place, it's not I also get a trophy. Who gives a shit about the second place trophy in boxing because you fucking lost? You know what I mean? At the end of the day is you're going to go in there and say, I'm giving my all right now. I have 3 minutes at a time to give my all and to do everything I got to do. You know, for little kids, I think that's the healthiest competition there could be.
Yeah.
Because they're going to go all out.
That's it.
All out. And that's not even valued anymore, you know?
You're going to put your daughter in boxing?
Definitely jiu-jitsu. Definitely jiu-jitsu.
My son just started. He digs it.
Jiu-jitsu?
Yeah, he started. He's 4 and he just started taking classes, so he got his first stripe. He's stoked.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, it's good. It's a good base for them. They have a lot of fun.
Yeah. And it builds a certain level of confidence too. Like, you
100%.
know.
Yep.
Just being comfortable being held down or in a bad position and that, you know, I wish we would have had more of that and less karate growing up for me as well, you know?
Yeah.
These kids are definitely more well suited to handle bullies in different situations, size disadvantages and things of that nature.
Yeah.
There's a lot more technique and skill and stuff out there these days.
Jiu-jitsu is way better. Because
Oh,
I got my black belt in karate. All right, I can throw a punch, but it always ends up on the ground or wrestling.
Yeah, it's a little bit different, you know? Yeah, I
Yeah.
see these kids get bullied and then grab them and choke them out or toss them, end up on top of them and feel comfortable, you know?
Yeah.
I've seen a couple videos like that and it makes me feel good about it. I'm like, that's good, bro. It's different, you know?
These little scrappy kids that know how to avoid getting hurt too, they walk through life at a different level of confidence. And it's not an ego confidence, because when you keep them in a trained setting, a martial arts setting like that, they get humbled very fast. Because here's the problem is you may be the toughest guy in school, now you know jiu-jitsu, but there is always somebody in that fucking place that can kick your ass.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the same thing with boxing. You could be the coolest, good, best amateur in the gym, blah, blah, but at some point you're going to spar a lot of pros and they're going to wash you.
Like you're
And
gonna
you
end
just
up
know.
on the canvas.
Yeah.
Gonna make it look like you're standing still. It's a different level.
They will
There's levels
outclass you
to
so
this, yeah.
fast. Yeah. And that type of training shows you the levels, so you do walk through life and then you really don't know who is this other kid, who's this. Let me just be cool. I know I can defend myself. I'm confident, but I'm cool.
I don't have to be out of pocket trying to be the guy,
Every time I'm in a road rage situation with somebody, I'm like, this is the guy that's gonna stab me. This is the guy that's gonna shoot me.
That's it, bro.
And I'm like, this ain't worth it.
No, it's not.
No. Let it go.
It's tough. We get heated fast, but definitely, yeah, it's definitely not worth it. We got much more to give the world than to let it go on some dumb shit, which seems to be the case more and more these days. It's very sad,
But those people who are giving into those momentary reactions aren't happy with themselves.
No.
I feel like, and they have something to prove to themselves.
Yeah.
If you go with yourself, you don't get no points for fighting a stranger. You know what I mean? You don't get no points for doing. You get into a fight with a stranger. Even if two guys get out of the car and you have a fight on Magnolia Boulevard, and nobody sees, and you battle royale in the street, beat both of them up and this and that. Nobody even seen it.
Then what?
You had nothing. You didn't even help your reputation.
No.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like
not the case.
Yeah, it's not like you're 17 in the Bronx and you got to do it. Then everybody's talking about it. This and that. Then girls like you a little more and this and that. Then it's like back then, but that's done.
It's done.
That era is done. There's no more tough guys. You don't have to be a tough guy. Like I looked up to all these guys who were the toughest guys in my neighborhood, and I thought like, oh, that's who I want to be like. That's who would want to do this type of things. And it was such a bad mentality.
How did it fare them, for the most part?
Well, my other friend that I looked up to just came home. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And as much as you hear these jail stories and you glorify these jail stories, like it's not cool.
No.
None of that stuff is cool.
No. It's a waste. It's a waste.
Such a waste.
Yeah.
Fighting
a waste
with a
of
fucking
talent.
stranger.
It's a waste of intelligence. It's a waste of time.
A waste of time.
Yeah.
It's the biggest waste of time, and that's the only thing you got.
Yeah.
Is those moments. I had a girl who works for me, and we were gonna do this big thing on Friday, cut down day somewhere else, and I was gonna bring them in to help with a bunch of stuff. And she was like, "Oh, Vince, it's my mother's birthday on Friday. I was taking her breakfast." I said, "Don't worry about it. Go. It's Mother's Day right after that. Go hang out with your mom, because I don't have the luxury anymore. So I'm not gonna hold you back. This day in work, this Saturday, this Monday, we could always figure it out. It's not necessary. That was just a day I arbitrarily planned. Go hang out with your mom. I'll pivot for that. Because you never know. Those days aren't going to be promised. Not saying go fucking hang out with your mom every single day and don't go to work, because then you're just a fucking loser. You know what I mean? But ultimately, you got to be present and confident in who you are. And when you're confident in who you are, it's very easy to be present. When you're trained, you know what you're doing. You could defend yourself. You could last in a harsh world. You're willing to take the risk. You're willing to do certain things. And you could be present. You could sit with your daughter. We could hang out on the couch, go barbecue, and just shoot the shit and authentically hang out knowing who we are. And you don't got to lie about it. You don't got to lie about who you are. And that's, to me, the fundamental aspects of the characteristic that lead to a successful person. Of being authentic and being able to be that type of person.
Yeah. Where can people find you at in the businesses? Anything you wanna plug? Social?
My IG is Vince Ricci, RICCI. Well, at Vince Ricci. I have Hubble, Balance, Komodo, all the other brands. They're all tied to my Instagram. You can see it.
We didn't talk about Balance, but you also have a cannabis line.
Yeah.
Balance Cannabis. It's a lifestyle brand.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I actually started Balance after my mother passed, because I gave her edibles when she had cancer, and she was sober for a long time, 20-something years, well, 30 years actually, and she didn't want to do anything, and I got her sugar-free edibles that a friend of mine made, and I seen how much of a difference it made, and then realizing how much cannabis, as opposed to an opiate, could really help.
Especially pain management, certain conditions.
Unbelievable.
9-day difference.
And
in their demeanor, in their health, the way they want to eat, sleep, these things,
Yeah, everything.
Yeah.
And I looked at it and said, let's create a product that women will reach for. Let's create a product that represents like Chanel or something else that's clean, that's easy, digestible, that people will feel okay grabbing because it seems trustworthy.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, if I don't do it now, I'll regret it for the rest of my life. And that's why I wanted to go into that end of the cannabis market. The operation side is what I'm good at. The other side is what I'm good at. But that side of marketing, and it's not just marketing to women, but
Yeah.
I do believe strong women really do run the world, because men do everything to receive attention from other
women.
strong women.
Yeah.
As much as nobody cares. Listen, I don't get
Say
dressed.
what you want.
I don't get dressed so Brian looks at me good.
No.
You know what I mean? Even though he does, but you know what I mean. You do things because you want to get a good reaction out of women.
Yeah, everything we do is for that.
Yeah, and to take care of them, to make them feel safe,
Yeah.
to feel accepted by women. They run the world.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I believe in. So you cater towards women, and then guys will buy it too.
Yeah.
Guys will pretty much buy anything that someone will say is okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true.
And
It's a very slept on part of the market. It's definitely forgot about in this space, 100%.
Oh, 100%.
And it's
Cannabis.
it's half the population, and they're all cannabis users as well.
Yeah.
And they want somebody that they can feel like is representing them, or that is thinking about them. It's definitely an underlooked. It's forgotten about in the cannabis culture.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Is they're almost, people aren't really. It's a very male driven.
Oh yeah, but I think that all these misogynistic type of industries are going to kind of go to the wayside now. And I don't believe in quotas. I don't believe in filling a quota based on guy, girl, or race. I feel like best for the job, but there are a lot of strong woman leaders that are really prevailing today. And I most of the high level people that are around me are all women. That I really rely on.
Yeah, you see that and you find that. Yeah, I was raised by a strong woman. My mom had her ups and downs, but I'm definitely the man I am today because she, made me strong and smart and put the fear of God in me, if nothing else.
Yeah. I was definitely afraid of my mother forever.
She was a scrapper, bro. All my friends were scared of her. My dad was a Golden Gloves champ in Pittsburgh.
Oh, really?
He lost two amateur fights ever, and the dude that he lost the fight to went 12 rounds with Hagler. And
What was his name?
My dad?
Yeah.
Chauncey. He's the same name, Chauncey Leopardia. So he's a Golden Glove champ. The only person, white guy, to ever make him bleed in the fight was my mom.
Really?
Yeah, he was in a bar talking to some chick, and she came and tapped him on the shoulder and popped him, broke his nose.
Wow.
Yeah, she was.
Damn.
She's a handful, but she's a good woman.
That's crazy. You're Italian?
Yeah.
You're fully Italian?
No, half. My dad's Italian. My mom's Irish. Yeah.
All right. My wife's Irish and I'm fully Italian.
There you
She's
go.
fully Irish.
Yeah.
So my daughter will be half Irish, half
There
Italian.
you go. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a good mix.
Yeah,
A lot
it's a
of
good
fire
mix.
there.
Yeah. Oh, trust me, between me and my wife. Forget
Good luck,
about
Vince.
Yeah.
it. What?
Good luck.
I know. Literally, I'm gonna be calling you for advice on raising a good daughter.
Yeah, you'll do all right.
you'll be fine.
You got a good skill set and a good mindset behind things. I think.
Thank you.
You'll add to the world greatly.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that.
Anything you want to leave the people with out there? Words of wisdom, or just anything in general?
I think understanding that you're not going to know most of the things you know tomorrow, you're not going to know today, and leaning into the people that you look to help you, listening to you guys on the podcast, listen to other people. And I think that I admire you guys, and I'm honored to come on the podcast and talk. But you really got to learn when to be vulnerable and lead into people and listen to somebody. And there's people who I may not respect a lot of things about them, but I respect one thing they do well, and I listen to that, and then I take the best of multiple people around me, and I am the product of all the people that influenced me. But be careful who you let influence you, but learn when to lean in and say, are you just an influencer that does cool stuff and I want to listen to you? No, but are you insightful? Are you authentic? Are you really giving me good advice? Are you really giving the world good advice? Lean into that. And let yourself be led. Don't always be so egotistical to say, I know everything. And that was probably the best thing I did in moving forward was trusting other people and knowing who to trust, you know? And I think that's probably the easiest way to evolve and move forward.
That's great. Yeah. I feel the same way. I feel like everybody in every walk of life has something of value or something that we can learn from them, you know, as long as we have an open heart and an open mind when we see them, you know. It's we sell people short from different walks of life a little too easily sometimes, and there's lessons all around us.
Yeah, that's a great way of putting it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Brian, anything left you want to add? Any questions we missed?
I think we covered it.
All right. Well, go ahead, wrap it up.
All right. Thank you for joining on another episode. Like, comment, subscribe. See you guys on the next one.